Parks and playgrounds are places of laughter, childhood joy, and open skies. Yet across the United States, some of these seemingly innocent spaces hide darker secrets. Visitors have reported swings moving on their own, shadows darting through trees, and laughter echoing when no children are present. Some parks have been the scenes of tragic accidents, mysterious disappearances, or events so eerie that the energy never left. Tonight, we explore 20 of the most haunted parks and playgrounds in the USA, where the past refuses to rest and the night reveals what the day tries to hide. Parks are meant to be safe havens, spaces to play, to relax, and to enjoy the outdoors. But in some parks across the United States, something lingers that is anything but playful. Haunted parks carry echoes of tragedy, restless spirits, and unexplained occurrences. From ghostly children swinging on empty swings to shadowy figures appearing among trees, these locations are alive with stories that chill the soul. Some are tied to accidents, crimes, or untimely deaths, leaving behind a presence that still roams. Visitors report sudden cold spots, eerie sounds, shadows moving when no one is there, and a feeling of being watched even in broad daylight. Imagine walking through a playground at dusk. The swings sway with no wind, slides creak as if someone slides down, and laughter drifts across the empty field. A cold gust brushes your shoulder, and you hear whispers calling your name. A shadowy figure vanishes among the trees. You turn a corner and the playground seems to darken even further. As we explore these 20 haunted parks and playgrounds, picture empty swings swaying in the wind, darkened trails, and every rustle and groan carrying a story from the past. Before we step into the first haunted park, consider these. If you saw a ghostly child playing on a swing alone at night, would you approach them or flee from the playground? Lincoln Park stretches across the northern edge of Chicago, a sprawling urban oasis filled with trees, walking paths, and open fields. During the day, it is alive with families, joggers, and picnickers, a place where the city seems to pause and breathe. Yet, as twilight falls and shadows lengthen, the park takes on a different character, one that evokes both curiosity and unease. Visitors after dark often describe a sense of being watched, a subtle tension that lingers in the air. Near the playgrounds, the sounds of the day fade, replaced by an eerie quiet that seems almost deliberate. It is in these moments that the park's ghostly reputation comes alive. Swings, once still, are said to sway gently in the absence of wind or human touch. The laughter of children, bright and clear, can sometimes be heard echoing through empty fields, only to vanish when approached. The history of Lincoln Park contributes to its reputation. Over the decades, the area has witnessed countless lives passing through its grounds. From joyful gatherings to moments of sorrow and loss. Some visitors claim that these energies have left imprints, echoes that manifest as fleeting figures or unexplained sounds. Silhouettes of children have been reported near the playgrounds, their shapes moving with a grace that seems both real and otherworldly. These figures often vanish when noticed, leaving only a lingering sense of presence and the faintest whisper of movement. Walking along the winding paths, the atmosphere changes with the time of day. Streetlights cast long shadows that stretch across lawns and wooded areas, giving the impression of forms just beyond perception. The rustle of leaves in the evening breeze can sound like hurried footsteps. And the creaking of benches or the swing chains may take on an unearthly resonance. Those who have spent time in the park at night speak of an uncanny feeling. As if the park itself remembers the countless hours spent within its boundaries. And chooses to share fragments of memory with those who linger. Some reports suggest that Lincoln Park is not haunted in a conventional sense, but rather inhabited by residual energies. Children's laughter and fleeting figures may be echoes of past moments. Residual memories that replay when conditions align. Other phenomena include sudden drops in temperature. The sense of invisible eyes following a visitor. Or the faint impression of a hand brushing past. These experiences, while subtle, can leave a lasting impression, transforming the park from a simple urban refuge into a space charged with mystery. The playgrounds themselves are often the focus of strange sightings. Empty swings move as if propelled by unseen children, and seesaws have been observed shifting gently without weight. Some claim to see figures crouched near climbing structures or running along the edges of the play areas, only to vanish when approached. These encounters are rarely threatening, but they carry a sense of poignancy, a reminder of lives once present and the fleeting nature of time. Beyond the playgrounds, the wooded sections of Lincoln Park hold their own mysteries. Shaded groves and winding trails can create disorienting spaces at dusk. Shadows appear to move independently, and some visitors report hearing footsteps echoing behind them, even when no one is present. In these areas, the boundary between past and present feels thin, and the mind is drawn to the possibility of unseen watchers, guardians, or remnants of earlier lives. In these areas, the boundary between past and present feels thin, and the mind is drawn to the possibility of unseen watchers, guardians, or remnants of earlier lives. Despite these spectral encounters, Lincoln Park remains a beloved urban sanctuary. Its lakeside paths, open meadows, and quiet corners continue to draw visitors of all ages. The ghostly tales add a layer of depth to the experience, a reminder that places carry memories that linger long after people have moved on. Many who have witnessed these phenomena describe a mix of awe and reflection, sensing both the beauty and the history embedded in every swing, tree, and pathway. Lincoln Park is a space where life and memory converge. Its ghostly legends serve as a testament to the passage of time, the fleeting nature of human presence, and the subtle ways that the past can remain intertwined with the present. Whether the laughter of children, the movement of empty swings, or the shadowy figures glimpsed along trails are spirits, echoes, or the imagination of visitors, they contribute to the park's enduring mystique. Even for those who do not witness these apparitions, the atmosphere of Lincoln Park at night invites contemplation. The rustling leaves, the distant city lights, and the quiet expanse of land evoke a sense of connection to those who came before. It is a place of reflection, mystery, and subtle wonder, where every path, playground, and wooded grove hold stories that may never be fully understood. Walking through Lincoln, one becomes aware that the city's pulse is joined by the echoes of the past. A rhythm of memory and presence that lingers long after the sun has set. Central Park, an oasis of greenery amid the concrete and steel of Manhattan, is a place where the bustle of the city seems to pause, offering paths, benches, and quiet corners that invite reflection. Yet beneath the familiar beauty in everyday life, there exists a hidden layer, a sense that the park is shared with more than just birds, squirrels, and joggers. Shadows linger in the corners, figures that seem to belong to another time, moving silently along pathways or pausing near benches as if observing the present from the past. Visitors have long reported glimpses of these apparitions. Some see men and women dressed in clothing styles from centuries ago, walking through the trees or sitting on benches for just a moment before vanishing from sight. These figures appear in the soft light of dawn, the muted glow of evening, and sometimes in the haze of midday heat. Their presence is fleeting but unmistakable, leaving an imprint on the senses of those who notice them. Whispers often accompany these sightings, soft and elusive, carried on the wind between the trees. They are faint at first, almost mistaken for the rustle of leaves or the distant hum of traffic. As one moves closer, the whispers take on a sense of intent, sounding like fragments of conversations from another era. Footsteps, too, are reported on paths that appear empty, echoing off cobblestones and dirt trails, only to vanish when investigated. The history of Central Park offers context for these strange occurrences. Established in the mid-19th century, the park has witnessed countless events, from leisurely strolls to moments of tragedy. Generations of visitors have passed through, and the park has absorbed layers of stories, emotions, and experiences. It is this depth of history that seems to make the park fertile ground for unexplained phenomena, where the past occasionally slips through the fabric of the present. Even familiar landmarks within the park can take on a spectral quality. Bridges, arches, and statues seem to watch silently as figures move through the shadows. The light filtering through trees casts patterns that can create fleeting illusions. Yet witnesses insist on more than visual tricks. The presence is tangible, a weight that can be felt in the air. A chill that moves along the skin. A sensation of being observed without a visible source. Visitors have described encounters that are both subtle and unsettling. A lone jogger might hear footsteps behind them only to find the path empty. A family seated on a bench may feel a presence beside them. A sudden drop in temperature, or a whisper of words that cannot be identified. These experiences leave an indelible impression, a reminder that Central Park holds secrets hidden beneath its serene exterior. At dusk, the park transforms further, as shadows lengthen and the bustle of the city fades. Figures from another time appear more clearly to some observers, moving gracefully along pathways or disappearing among the trees. The fading light enhances the sense of mystery, as if the park itself is a stage where history plays out in subtle, ghostly reenactments. The whispers and footsteps become more distinct in these moments, creating an immersive experience that is difficult to forget. The spatial complexity of the park also contributes. Its hills, ponds, and wooded areas create natural pockets of isolation. Even in the heart of a crowded city, these secluded spaces allow for encounters that feel intimate. As though one has stumbled into a secret corner of the past. Even well-trodden paths have their moments of quiet, where a fleeting figure can appear and vanish without warning. Central Park's blend of natural beauty and human history is part of its enduring appeal. And it is this combination that seems to attract the inexplicable. Witnesses often describe a mixture of awe and unease, caught between the appreciation of the park's charm and the subtle awareness of unseen companions. Each sighting, each whisper, adds another layer to the collective memory of the park, linking past and present in a delicate, mysterious way. The experience of the park at night intensifies the otherworldly atmosphere. Street lamps cast pools of light that reveal movement along the edges, shadows that shift and coalesce into forms reminiscent of another century. The sounds of the city fade into the background, leaving only the wind, the rustle of leaves, and the occasional distant voice that cannot be traced. For those walking through Central Park after dark, the sense of stepping into a space where time is fluid becomes undeniable. Even when the park is crowded, moments of inexplicable phenomena can occur. A figure glimpsed out of the corner of the eye may vanish before a direct look. A whisper may reach only one ear among a group, leaving others unaware of the sound. These subtle events reinforce the park's reputation as a place where the boundaries between the past and present, between the ordinary and the unexplained, are thin. Central Park invites contemplation not only through its beauty but through its mysteries. Each path, bench, and tree holds stories that span generations. Visitors may find themselves reflecting on lives once lived, imagining the footsteps that have passed in the same spaces, and considering the ways in which history lingers in the present. The park becomes a living museum of human experience, where glimpses of the past appear unexpectedly, urging attentiveness to the subtle signs that the park is more than it seems. Walking through Central Park, one is acutely aware of the layers of time embedded in the landscape. The shadows of figures in old-fashioned clothing, the whispering voices, and the fleeting footsteps are part of an ongoing dialogue between the present and the past. They are reminders that even in the heart of one of the busiest cities in the world, there are places where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist. The park, serene and alive, holds these secrets quietly, offering those who venture within a chance to glimpse the lingering spirits of history. Griffith Park, nestled within the sprawling city of Los Angeles, is a place of natural beauty, winding trails, and panoramic views of the city below. By day, it is alive with hikers, families, and the occasional cyclist, yet. As the sun dips toward the horizon, the familiar sounds of daytime activity give way to the subtle, unexplained movements that have long fascinated visitors. Those who venture along the trails in the quieter hours often speak of seeing figures that do not belong. Hikers appear briefly in the distance, moving along paths with practiced familiarity, only to vanish when approached. Children have been spotted playing among the trees, their laughter faint and elusive, leaving behind only a sense of presence that lingers long after they are gone. The forested areas of the park create natural corridors of light and shadow, enhancing the feeling that the trails themselves hold memories of past visitors. Some report sudden cold drafts that sweep unexpectedly across the paths, leaving goosebumps in their wake. These moments are fleeting, yet they carry a weight of unease, as if the air itself carries the traces of lives once intertwined with the park. Unexplained lights flicker among the trees in the deeper sections of Griffith Park, distant glimmers that appear to float above the ground or behind thick foliage. Witnesses describe them as small, almost candle-like orbs that drift silently before disappearing, leaving the observer questioning whether the eye was deceived or something else was at work. These lights often appear near areas where old trails converge or near historical sites that hint at the park's layered past. Shadowy figures have been reported standing among the trees, their presence subtle yet undeniable. They are often seen at the periphery of vision, lingering in the corners of open spaces, only to disappear when attention is fully given. These encounters, brief and disorienting, create an atmosphere where the natural beauty of the park blends seamlessly with a quiet sense of unease. Some areas of Griffith Park hold a particular reputation for strange occurrences. Near the old trails and abandoned picnic sites, hikers report a sensation of being watched, of footsteps echoing behind them when no one else is present. Others describe glimpses of figures appearing suddenly at trail junctions, vanishing before a second look can confirm their existence. The combination of dense foliage, uneven terrain, and the park's historical echoes amplifies these experiences, making them more vivid and unsettling. Visitors often recount the feeling of being drawn toward certain areas, as if the park itself is guiding them along its winding paths. In these moments, the wind carries whispers that could be mistaken for distant conversation, faint rustling that seems too precise to be random. The presence of figures, sudden chills, and flickering lights all contribute to the sense that Griffith Park holds more than natural beauty, it harbors remnants of memories and energies that refuse to fade. The park's historical significance adds depth to its mysterious reputation. Over the decades, countless people have traversed these trails, leaving behind stories, laughter, and echoes of lives that intersected with the land. It is here, amidst the winding paths and shaded groves, that some believe the echoes of those past visitors remain, replaying faintly for those willing to notice. Each visitor's encounter becomes part of the ongoing narrative, a subtle addition to the tapestry of experiences that define the park after dark. Even in the areas open to the city, the juxtaposition of natural isolation and urban proximity creates unique phenomena. Figures appear along well-worn trails, yet vanish when city lights are glanced at in the distance. Shadows stretch unnaturally at the edge of wooded clearings, and the wind carries hints of movement and sound, as if the park remembers more than its human visitors know. The effect is both mesmerizing and unnerving, drawing hikers into a rhythm of awareness, attuned to the subtle disturbances that define the park at night. Griffith Park invites exploration on many levels, from scenic beauty to the mysterious energy that permeates its trails. Each pathway, grove, and overlook offers an opportunity for discovery, whether it is the gentle rustle of wildlife, the whisper of the wind, or the fleeting appearance of a figure whose origin cannot be explained. The park's mysteries are subtle, requiring patience and attention, yet they leave a lasting impression on those who experience them, blending the serene with the spectral. The forested trails of Griffith Park, the quiet corners away from city noise, and the high vantage points overlooking Los Angeles create a setting where nature and mystery intersect. Ghostly hikers and children, unexplained lights, and shadowy figures remind visitors that the park's history lingers just beneath the surface. Those who walk its paths after dark encounter a world that is both familiar and otherworldly, where every turn and every clearing holds the possibility of a fleeting presence. And every whisper in the wind carries a story waiting to be remembered. In exploring Griffith Park, one becomes part of an ongoing narrative, a place where the natural and the supernatural intertwine. The trails guide visitors through a landscape rich in history, shadow, and subtle phenomena. Ghostly figures appear and vanish, cold drafts sweep the pathways, and whispers echo through the trees, leaving those who venture here with a sense that Griffith Park is alive with memories, quietly observing and eternally present in the quiet hours after sunset. Balboa Park in San Diego is renowned for its sprawling gardens, historic architecture, and vibrant cultural institutions. By day, the park is alive with visitors strolling along winding paths, children laughing on playgrounds, and the soft melodies of street performers drifting through open plazas. Children laughing on playgrounds. And the soft melodies of street performers drifting through open plazas. Yet as evening falls, the park transforms. Shadows lengthen, pathways empty, and a sense of quiet anticipation settles over the landscape. At night, some visitors have reported hearing sounds that seem out of place. Faint music drifts across the gardens, sometimes carrying the notes of an unseen piano or violin. Laughter echoes from empty playgrounds, playful yet distant, fading as quickly as it appears. These sounds are subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but persistent enough to leave an impression that the park is alive in ways beyond the ordinary. Shadowy figures are often seen among the trees and along the paths. They move silently, glimpsed at the edges of vision, pausing at benches or near fountains before vanishing when approached. These figures are never threatening, but their presence is undeniable. Observers often feel a heightened awareness of their surroundings, as though the park itself is guiding them to notice the traces of unseen visitors. The historic buildings of Balboa Park contribute to the park's mysterious atmosphere. The Spanish-style architecture, with its archways, towers, and intricate facades, casts long, shifting shadows at night. Light from street lamps and the moon creates pockets of illumination that seem to reveal fleeting shapes moving just beyond the frame. Doors creak gently in the night breeze, and the soft shuffle of footsteps echoes in corridors long deserted by daytime visitors. Many have reported an uncanny sense of being watched when walking along secluded paths. The sensation is subtle at first, a tingling at the back of the neck or a feeling of presence nearby. Chairs in gardens and benches sometimes appear slightly moved from their usual positions. And small objects in open spaces are occasionally displaced. Nothing is overtly frightening, but the cumulative effect suggests a lingering presence. A whisper of past lives intersecting with the present. The playgrounds, once filled with the joyous energy of children, are particularly evocative. At night, they appear abandoned. Swings gently swaying in the breeze. Slides glinting under the moonlight. It is here that visitors often report shadowy children at play, running or laughing, only to vanish when approached. The sounds are faint yet distinct. Playful echoes from a time that seems both near and impossibly distant. Balboa Park's gardens carry their own sense of mystery. Winding paths lined with exotic plants, and towering trees create natural corridors, where movement at the periphery of vision is easily attributed to imagination, yet often cannot be explained. The air seems charged with stories from the past. Memories of those who once walked the park under very different circumstances. Even the fountains contribute to the park's nocturnal ambience. The gentle trickle of water contrasts with the faint, unexplained music and laughter. creating layers of sound that can be disorienting and mesmerizing. Reflections in the water sometimes reveal shapes that move independently of the actual surroundings. Hints of something beyond the ordinary world blending with the natural beauty of the park. Visitors who explore Balboa Park at night describe a heightened sense of connection to its history. The sounds, shadows, and subtle movements create an immersive experience, drawing attention to details often overlooked during the daylight hours. Every footstep, rustle, or distant note of music becomes part of a larger narrative, one where the past lingers quietly, observing and interacting with the present in ways both gentle and compelling. Walking the park alone at night is an exercise in awareness. The combination of natural and architectural elements. The interplay of light and shadow, and the subtle auditory phenomena. Create a space that is alive with history. Apparitions, laughter, and music are not overtly threatening, but they invite contemplation, a curiosity about who or what remains in the park after dark, and the stories that might still be unfolding. By the time dawn approaches, Balboa Park returns to its familiar vibrancy. Shadows retreat with the rising sun. And the sounds of ghostly music and laughter fade into memory. Yet those who have walked the park at night often carry the experience with them. A reminder that beneath the beauty and charm of its gardens and buildings lies a layer of mystery. The park is more than a gathering place, it is a living archive of memory and presence. A space where the past and present meet in quiet, enigmatic ways. Balboa Park at night offers a different perspective, one that is immersive. The gentle music, the laughter from unseen children, the shadowy figures among the trees. And the ever-present sense of being observed all contribute to an experience that lingers long after visitors have left. In this way, the park becomes not just a destination, but a passage through time. A place where the ordinary and the extraordinary coexist, quietly inviting those who walk its paths to notice the stories that remain hidden in plain sight. Piedmont Park stretches across the heart of Atlanta, a green expanse of walking paths, playgrounds, and open fields. By day, the park is alive with laughter, jogging footsteps, and the hum of city life. Families picnic along the grassy knolls, couples stroll hand in hand, and the hum of conversation fills the air. Yet, as twilight descends and shadows grow long, the atmosphere changes, revealing a side of the park that few witness in daylight. Visitors after dark describe an uncanny stillness, a quiet that feels almost purposeful. The sounds of the city fade into the distance, replaced by the subtle rustling of leaves and the occasional creak of benches settling in the cool evening air. It is during these hours that the park's spectral reputation becomes apparent. Some claim to see children playing along the trails, their movements fleeting and light, the faintest echoes of laughter trailing in their wake. Approaching these figures often results in them vanishing as if they were never there, leaving only an eerie quiet behind. The history of Piedmont Park contributes to its mysterious aura. For over a century, it has been a space where countless people have gathered, celebrated, and passed through. Its long history has left impressions, some believe, traces of lives that have lingered beyond their time. These residual energies are reported in many forms. Shadows moving in the periphery of vision, laughter without a source, and the sensation of being observed are common experiences among those who wander the park at night. The playgrounds and open spaces are frequently the setting for the most peculiar occurrences. Empty swings sway in the absence of wind, and seesaws sometimes tilt gently, as though guided by unseen hands. Visitors report hearing the faintest echoes of children calling to one another, sounds that vanish when sought. The figures seen are often delicate and fleeting, appearing at the edges of paths or in the peripheries of lamplight, moving with a grace that seems almost unreal. These sightings evoke a mixture of wonder and unease. Beyond the playgrounds, the park's wooded areas hold their own mysteries. Dense groves of trees and winding pathways create spaces where light is scarce and shadows play across the ground. Here, footsteps have been heard where no one walks, and fleeting silhouettes appear between trunks, vanishing before they can be closely examined. Some have felt a presence brush past them in these areas, a chill that moves with them along the paths. The quiet spaces invite contemplation but also a heightened awareness of the unseen, a subtle tension that lingers long after the sun has set. The quiet spaces invite contemplation but also a heightened awareness of the unseen, a subtle tension that lingers long after the sun has set. The quiet spaces invite contemplation but also a heightened awareness of the unseen, a subtle tension that lingers long after the sun has set. Even in the park's larger open areas, unexplained sounds can be heard. The rustle of grass, the sudden snap of a twig, or a distant giggle echoing across the lawn unsettles visitors who know they are alone. It is as if the park itself remembers the countless moments that have taken place within its boundaries and chooses to share fragments of those memories with those willing to notice. The echoes are often gentle, more curious than threatening, yet they leave an impression that is difficult to ignore. Many who explore Piedmont Park at night describe a blending of past and present. The laughter of ghostly children mixes with the distant hum of the city, creating an atmosphere that is both familiar and uncanny. The park seems to pulse with memory, with traces of joy and sorrow that have accumulated over decades. Some visitors are drawn to the playgrounds, hoping to witness the figures themselves, while others prefer the quiet of the wooded paths, sensing that these areas hold more of the park's subtle secrets. Despite the ghostly accounts, Piedmont Park remains a cherished space in Atlanta. Its open lawns, walking trails, and scenic views continue to attract visitors of all kinds. The stories of lingering spirits add a layer of intrigue to an already beloved location. A reminder that every space holds the potential for mystery. The apparitions and unexplained sounds, whether echoes of history or products of the imagination, create an enduring sense of wonder, encouraging reflection on the passage of time and the memories that accumulate in every place people inhabit. Walking through Piedmont Park at night is an experience of quiet reflection and subtle tension. The rustling leaves, the distant city lights, and the shadows that stretch along the trails evoke a connection to those who came before. Whether the laughter of children, the movement of empty swings, or the fleeting silhouettes glimpsed along the paths are spirits or echoes, they contribute to the park's mysterious charm. Piedmont Park is more than just a park. It is a living repository of memory, a place where the past and present intertwine. Each swing, each path, and each shadow holds a story that may never be fully understood. Visitors who wander its grounds after dark often leave with a sense of having brushed against something unseen. A reminder that the world contains more than what meets the eye, and that even in the heart of a bustling city, moments of quiet mystery persist, waiting to be discovered. Forest Park in St. Louis, Missouri stretches across hundreds of acres, a blend of manicured gardens, wooded trails, and open meadows. By day, it welcomes families, joggers, and tourists exploring its museums and landmarks. Yet beneath the familiar beauty, there exists a quieter, more mysterious side, a place where history and the unexplained seem to intertwine. Some visitors report sensing presences that cannot be seen, feeling the weight of invisible footsteps following them along the paths. Shadowy figures have been glimpsed among the trees, sometimes standing motionless near benches, or fading into the darkness of wooded trails. These figures appear in moments of solitude, when the park seems almost empty, their outlines shifting and indistinct, leaving only a feeling of being watched. The air can grow unexpectedly cold in certain areas, even on warm summer days, as if the park itself carries memories of those who walked there long ago. Footsteps echo across paths that are otherwise silent, sounding solid and deliberate, only to vanish when someone turns to investigate. In some sections, benches are reported to move slightly on their own, tilting or rocking as though a weight has been applied and then lifted. These subtle phenomena create an atmosphere of unease and curiosity, prompting visitors to look closer at the familiar surroundings and notice details they might otherwise overlook. The history of Forest Park provides context for these experiences. Established in the late 19th century, the park has witnessed countless events, from grand public gatherings to quiet, solitary moments. Its vast expanse has been home to generations of residents and visitors, each leaving traces of their presence behind. The park's blend of natural beauty and human activity creates a rich environment for stories and experiences that linger, sometimes beyond explanation. Wooded trails and secluded corners contribute to the park's mysterious reputation. The sound of wind moving through leaves can take on the cadence of whispers or footsteps. These natural effects, combined with the weight of history, often heighten the sense that the park is shared with unseen observers. Visitors recount encounters that are subtle yet memorable. A jogger may feel a sudden chill sweep across their path, though the sun is shining and no wind is present. A lone visitor sitting on a bench may notice it shift slightly beneath them, as though another presence had recently occupied it. Some report hearing voices that seem close but fade when approached, conversations from the past that remain just out of reach. Open areas of the park are not immune to these phenomena. Even in broad meadows, figures can be glimpsed moving along the edges of trees or near fountains, only to disappear when noticed directly. Shadows flicker across statues and monuments in ways that do not align with natural light. These fleeting glimpses leave witnesses with an acute awareness of the park as a place where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist. The park at dusk and after dark takes on a different quality. Light filtering through the trees casts patterns across paths, and the quiet of the evening amplifies subtle sounds. Footsteps, rustling leaves, and distant voices carry differently at night, creating moments of tension and heightened awareness. Shadows seem to linger longer and figures appear more distinct, adding to the immersive experience of the park's haunted ambience. Certain landmarks within Forest Park have histories that may contribute to its ghostly reputation. Old structures, fountains, and bridges are touched by time and human presence, creating spaces where energy from past events seems to persist. The combination of history, architecture, and natural elements forms an environment where sightings and sensations are particularly striking, drawing attention from both the curious and the wary. Secluded areas offer the most intimate experiences of the unexplained. Visitors report that walking alone along lesser-known trails can evoke a sense of being followed, accompanied by whispers, distant laughter, or the shifting of branches that cannot be traced. These encounters are brief and often subtle, but they leave a lasting impression. A feeling that Forest Park is alive with more than just the flora and fauna. Even amid crowds, moments of oddity occur. A bench that had been empty a moment ago may now feel occupied. Shadows in peripheral vision flicker and vanish when directly looked at. These small, inexplicable events create a persistent sense that the park is layered with unseen presences. A place where time and memory coexist with the living world. Forest Park is a space of contrast, where open fields meet dense woods, where sunlight and shadow intermingle. Where sunlight and shadow intermingle. It is this contrast that seems to invite the mysterious, allowing fleeting figures, cold drafts, and subtle sounds to leave an impression. A reminder that history and mystery often walk side by side. As one explores Forest Park, awareness of the unseen grows. The soft echo of footsteps, the chill in the air, and the occasional movement of objects all hint at stories that remain untold. The park becomes a stage where past and present, seen and unseen, converge. Every path, bench, and hidden corner holds the potential for discovery. Inviting visitors to observe closely and consider the layers of time and presence that exist quietly within this historic landscape. In Forest Park, St. Louis, every visit holds the possibility of something unexpected. The park's beauty is undeniable, but for those attuned to its subtleties, there is more to witness. Figures among the trees, whispers in the wind, and cold spots that appear without cause all suggest that the park is alive with memories and presences that linger quietly. It is a space where history and mystery meet, where each step may brush against the echoes of lives that came before. Reminding visitors that even familiar places can hold the extraordinary. Golden Gate Park, a sprawling urban oasis in the heart of San Francisco, is a place where nature, art, and history converge. By day, its gardens, museums, and walking paths bustle with visitors, cyclists, and families enjoying the green expanse. Yet as evening descends and the city's fog rolls in, the park takes on a different character, one that is quieter, more mysterious, and in some corners, eerily alive with unseen presences. Those who wander the park during the quieter hours often speak of figures glimpsed among the trees. They appear briefly, moving with purpose along winding paths or vanishing into the thickening fog. These fleeting shapes are often just at the edge of perception, seen from the corner of the eye, leaving a lingering sense that the park is watching, holding on to secrets that refuse to fully reveal themselves. Golden Gate Park is a maze of wooded areas, hidden gardens, and secluded paths. The fog that frequently drifts in from the bay adds an ethereal quality, cloaking the landscape and amplifying the sense of isolation. The sound is soft, almost melodic, yet it carries the weight of something unseen, echoing faintly through the trees and around empty benches. Unexplained lights have also been reported, small orbs that appear and disappear along the walking paths. Some float low to the ground, moving between shrubs and flower beds, while others hover among the trees, illuminating the fog in soft, unnatural glows. Witnesses describe the lights as subtle yet persistent, impossible to fully track. As if the park itself is breathing in rhythm with their movements. The park's history contributes to its enigmatic reputation. Over a century of development, construction, and human presence has left traces within its gardens and groves. Some areas hold the memory of festivals and gatherings long past, while others have been quiet corners for reflection or solitary walks. It is in these quiet spaces that the park's unusual phenomena are most often noticed, as if the echoes of past lives and events are lingering just out of reach. Visitors report a sense of being followed, though no one else is present. Footsteps echo softly along gravel paths or wooden bridges. Yet they vanish when approached. Shadows stretch across the lawns and pathways, sometimes appearing to move independently of the natural light. These occurrences, subtle and fleeting, create a layered experience, in which the natural beauty of Golden Gate Park coexists with moments of unexplainable tension. The park's trees play a significant role in these encounters, sometimes crossing open spaces or standing silently among the trunks. Their appearances are sporadic and brief, but they leave a distinct impression on those who witness them. A feeling that the park is alive in ways beyond human understanding. Several areas of Golden Gate Park are particularly associated with unexplained activity. Hidden gardens, remote benches, and secluded walking paths provide the perfect backdrop for moments of eerie observation. The combination of fog, natural light, and dense foliage makes it difficult to discern what is real and what is imagined, heightening the sense of mystery and leaving visitors questioning their own perceptions. Many have recounted feeling drawn toward certain corners of the park, guided by instinct or curiosity. In these moments, the ambient noises of the city fade, replaced by faint, unidentifiable sounds, rustling leaves, and distant whispers. The park becomes an immersive environment where the senses are heightened, every movement in the fog seeming deliberate, every shadow suggesting presence. Visitors leave with a sense that Golden Gate Park holds stories and memories beyond the ordinary, suspended in the space between what is seen and what is imagined. The lights, whispers, and shadowy figures are not violent or threatening, yet they create an atmosphere of intrigue. They are subtle, persistent, and difficult to ignore. Those who experience them often feel a connection to the history of the park, as if the echoes of the past are replaying softly for anyone willing to notice. Each encounter, however brief, adds a layer to the narrative that defines Golden Gate Park after dark. The interplay of natural beauty and mysterious phenomena makes every walk through the park after sunset a unique experience. Fog drifts across lawns, wind moves silently through trees, and the soft glow of unexplained lights can appear without warning. Figures seem to traverse the space between reality and memory, and the faint echoes of whispers remind visitors that the park is more than a collection of trees and trails. It is a living repository of stories, some known, many hidden, all quietly present. Exploring Golden Gate Park in these hours encourages a heightened awareness of surroundings. The familiar pathways are transformed into corridors of discovery, where every clearing, garden, and grove holds the potential for an unexpected encounter. Ghostly figures moving through fog, whispers carried on the breeze, and lights that flicker without source all contribute to a sense that the park is alive in ways that extend beyond human perception. As visitors leave, the fog often settles back into the trees and lawns, erasing traces of the unexplained, and returning the park to its serene, daylit appearance. Yet those who have walked its paths after sunset carry with them the memory of fleeting presences, whispered sounds, and ephemeral lights. Golden Gate Park remains a place where history, nature, and mystery converge, offering an experience that is both beautiful and quietly haunting, a landscape where every step after sunset holds the possibility of encountering the unseen. In Golden Gate Park, the boundary between the ordinary and the extraordinary is subtle and ever-present. Fog drifts through the trees, figures appear and vanish. Lights flicker along winding paths, and whispers echo through hidden gardens. Each element contributes to a sense of wonder and unease, leaving visitors with the realization that this urban oasis, so familiar by day, transforms after dark into a space where the natural and the spectral coexist, quietly and indefinitely. Fairmount Park in Philadelphia sprawls across acres of trees, ponds, and historic architecture. By day, the park is alive with joggers, families, and picnickers enjoying the expansive green spaces and winding trails. Yet as the sun dips below the horizon, a different presence emerges, subtle and elusive, weaving itself through the shadows of trees and the quiet of empty pathways. Visitors who explore the park after dark sometimes report fleeting glimpses of ghostly children near playgrounds and swings. These figures appear to play silently, moving with the energy and innocence of youth, yet vanish when approached. Their presence is accompanied by faint laughter, soft and ethereal, that seems to come from no particular source. The sounds are brief and delicate, lingering in the night air long enough to provoke curiosity and unease. The historic buildings scattered throughout Fairmount Park also add to its mysterious ambience. The stately mansions and old structures, illuminated by moonlight or distant street lamps, cast long shadows that shift and ripple in unexpected ways. Doors and gates sometimes move on their own, creaking or swinging gently, as though unseen hands guide them. The movement is never violent, but it is enough to suggest that the park has a life of its own after dark. The natural landscape amplifies the sense of mystery. Tall trees line winding paths, their branches brushing overhead and creating a canopy that filters the moonlight into shifting patterns on the ground. Leaves rustle in the night breeze, sometimes masking the soft footsteps of the park's unseen visitors. Observers often report a heightened awareness, a feeling that they are not entirely alone, even when no one else is visible. The playground areas are especially evocative. Swings sway lightly without wind, and slides glimmer in the dim light. Shadows move with a life of their own, and the laughter of children seems to echo faintly across empty sand or grass. These moments are fleeting, subtle, and never threatening. Yet they create a sense of the park as a space where past and present intertwine. Water features within the park contribute to the nocturnal atmosphere. Ponds reflect the dim moonlight, and ripples sometimes appear without wind or disturbance. The gentle trickle of fountains contrasts with the faint whispers and laughter, creating a layered soundscape. Reflections occasionally reveal shapes or movements that cannot be explained by the surrounding environment, adding to the sense that unseen presences linger here. The historic bridges and walking paths of Fairmount Park are often quiet at night. Yet they too have their stories. Shadows move across bridges and along secluded trails, disappearing when approached. These subtle phenomena contribute to the impression that the park retains memories. Traces of those who once walked its grounds and have not entirely departed. Visitors often describe a feeling of immersion when exploring the park after dark. Every creak of a gate, rustle of leaves, or distant laughter becomes part of a larger narrative. One that intertwines history, memory, and subtle supernatural suggestion. The park seems to invite reflection, a quiet awareness of the invisible threads that connect the present to the past. Even the gardens carry their own sense of intrigue. Flower beds and trimmed hedges create natural corridors where light and shadow play across the ground. Sounds drift through the air, often difficult to locate but impossible to ignore. These small, almost imperceptible occurrences evoke the presence of something beyond the ordinary, drawing attention to the park's enduring history and the lives that have passed through it. As the night deepens, the park's phenomena become more pronounced. Swinging playground equipment, shifting shadows, faint laughter, and moving doors all contribute to an atmosphere of quiet mystery. The park is neither hostile nor threatening, but it is undeniably alive. In subtle ways. Suggesting that Fairmount Park continues to hold stories that are waiting to be noticed. By the time dawn approaches, the park gradually returns to its familiar daytime rhythm. Shadows retreat, the laughter fades, and gates settle back into stillness. Yet for those who have wandered its trails at night, the experience leaves a lasting impression. Fairmount Park at night is a space where history, memory, and subtle supernatural presence coexist, quietly inviting observation and reflection. The experience of walking Fairmount Park after dark is both immersive and contemplative. The ghostly children, moving shadows, and unexplained sounds remind visitors that the park is more than a collection of trees and paths. It is a living archive of presence and memory, a space where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet, and where those who walk its trails are invited to witness the quiet stories that remain hidden within its grounds. City Park in New Orleans sprawls across acres of lush greenery, ancient oaks, and winding pathways that seem to stretch endlessly. By day, the park is alive with families, joggers, and the laughter of children playing near playgrounds. The air is filled with the scent of magnolia and the hum of city life in the distance. Yet, as twilight descends, the park undergoes a subtle transformation. Shadows lengthen across the lawns, and an almost imperceptible stillness settles over the grounds, signaling a shift from the familiar to the mysterious. Visitors who wander the park after dark often speak of an eerie presence. Footsteps echo where no one walks, and shadows seem to flit just beyond the edge of vision. The old structures scattered throughout the park, including historic pavilions and quiet gazebos, become focal points for paranormal activity. Figures are reported to appear near these locations, sometimes pausing as if observing the living, only to vanish when approached. The sensation of being watched is common, creating a subtle tension that hangs in the air with every passing minute. The playgrounds themselves have garnered particular attention. Swings sway gently despite the absence of wind, and the faint sounds of laughter echo through empty spaces. Visitors describe fleeting glimpses of children playing, their forms delicate and fleeting, disappearing before they can be fully seen. The echoes of past joys seem to linger in these spaces, and the atmosphere carries a duality of innocence and unease, reminding those who walk here that the park is alive with memory. Throughout the park, dense clusters of trees and winding pathways create natural corridors of shadow and light. In these areas, figures appear and disappear with alarming subtlety. Some say they have felt cold hands brush past them or caught glimpses of human forms in peripheral vision, only for the shapes to vanish the moment they turn directly toward them. The trees, gnarled and imposing, cast long, dark shadows that seem to move of their own accord, heightening the sense that City Park is a living space that remembers its history. The old pavilions hold a particular fascination. Once bustling with picnics, dances, and community gatherings, they now stand mostly quiet. Some visitors report hearing faint music, distant conversations, or soft laughter emanating from within. Despite the absence of anyone nearby, doors creak open and shut without explanation, and shadows flit across walls and floors. The residual energy of the park's long history is palpable in these spaces, and those who linger often feel a connection to moments long past. Paths that wind through the park reveal another layer of the uncanny. Street lamps illuminate the trails with pools of golden light, yet the darkness beyond seems to hold secrets. Figures appear and dissolve at the edge of visibility, sometimes following visitors at a distance before vanishing entirely. Whispers, unintelligible yet unmistakably human, seem to drift through the night air. The sounds are subtle, fleeting, yet enough to leave a lasting impression on anyone walking these paths alone. City Park's history amplifies the mysterious atmosphere. For generations, it has been a gathering place for the community. A space where countless moments of joy, sorrow, and quiet reflection have unfolded. The park has borne witness to celebrations, protests, and private moments alike. Some believe that these events have left traces in the form of lingering energies, the echoes of lives and experiences that refuse to fade entirely. These presences are not always malevolent. Often they are curious, observant, and reflective of the life that once thrived in these spaces. Even in the open fields and lawns, subtle phenomena are reported. Cold spots move unpredictably, and shadows stretch unnaturally across the ground. The wind carries faint sounds, sometimes resembling laughter or whispers, other times more ambiguous and unsettling. Visitors describe a sense of being both watched and accompanied, as if the park itself is aware of their presence, and interacting with them in ways just beyond perception. Walking through City Park at night becomes an experience of heightened awareness. Every rustle of leaves, every shifting shadow, and every distant sound is imbued with a sense of history and mystery. And every distant sound is imbued with a sense of history and mystery. Is imbued with a sense of history and mystery. And mystery. For those who pay close attention, City Park offers glimpses into a world where past and present intersect. A world where past and present intersect, a space where memory manifests in subtle and haunting ways. A space where memory manifests in subtle and haunting ways. A space where memory manifests in subtle and haunting ways. In subtle and haunting ways. City Park is more than just a public space. It is a repository of stories, a canvas of human experience painted over generations. Each path, swing, and pavilion carries the weight of history and the faintest traces of those who have passed before. Visitors leave with a sense of wonder, and sometimes unease, recognizing that even in the heart of New Orleans, a city alive with culture and life, moments of quiet mystery persist. The park serves as a reminder that places hold memories, and that some echoes refuse to fade, waiting quietly for those who are willing to notice them. Grant Park in Chicago, Illinois stretches along the lakefront, a sprawling urban oasis surrounded by the bustle of the city. By day, it is filled with joggers, families, and tourists enjoying the gardens, fountains, and open spaces. Yet beneath the familiar beauty lies an atmosphere where the ordinary and the mysterious intersect. A place where shadows seem to linger just beyond perception and the whispers of the past echo faintly through the trees. Visitors walking along deserted pathways have reported the sound of footsteps echoing behind them. These sounds seem deliberate and measured, yet when they turn to look, no one is there. The feeling of being watched often follows, a subtle awareness that something unseen shares the space with them. Shadowy figures have been glimpsed near empty fountains, standing motionless as if observing, only to vanish when approached. Playgrounds that are lively during the day take on a different energy after dark. Swings sway gently with no wind, and slides appear to hold invisible occupants. Some visitors have felt a cold brush of air near these areas, accompanied by whispers that seem almost conversational, but fade as soon as they try to listen. The combination of movement, sound, and subtle temperature changes creates a sense of presence. An impression that the park is alive with memories and spirits that refuse to leave. The history of Grant Park contributes to its mysterious aura. Established in the 19th century, the park has witnessed countless events, gathering and individual moments that have shaped the city. Life and memory. Fountains and statues throughout the park seem to hold particular significance. Figures have been reported near sculptures, their forms indistinct, sometimes appearing human, other times simply a shifting shadow. Reflections in water can catch glimpses of movement that do not correspond with what is physically present. These fleeting images create an eerie atmosphere, prompting visitors to question whether they are seeing reality or something more ephemeral. Even in broad lawns and open spaces, the park's subtle phenomena manifest. Steps taken alone may echo unnaturally. Sounds of laughter or conversation drift from empty areas, and cold drafts appear without source. The juxtaposition of open sunlight and shaded areas amplifies the sensation that there is more to the park than meets the eye, that hidden presences share these spaces quietly with the living. Walking through the park at dusk, the environment changes once again. Shadows lengthen and merge with the fading light, creating forms that seem alive. Figures have been observed moving along pathways, sometimes appearing to walk purposefully, sometimes lingering just beyond the edge of vision. These experiences, though brief and often subtle, leave a lasting impression and heighten the sense that Grant Park is a place where the ordinary intersects with the unexplained. Certain areas hold more concentrated reports of activity. Near historical monuments, quiet benches, and lesser-used walkways, visitors have felt unseen hands brush past or sensed a presence close enough to create the impression of being accompanied. These moments are often fleeting, yet they resonate, leaving an emotional imprint that combines awe, curiosity, and unease. These moments are often fleeting, yet they resonate, leaving an emotional imprint that combines awe, curiosity, and unease. These moments are often fleeting, yet they resonate, leaving an emotional imprint that combines awe, curiosity, and unease. Footsteps and whispers are not the only experiences reported. The play of light and shadow through trees and structures can create illusions of movement, adding to the atmosphere of unpredictability. Visitors describe feeling watched or guided, as though the park itself is attentive to their presence, shaping the experience in subtle and unexplainable ways. The park's proximity to the city amplifies the contrast between bustling life and moments of solitude. A path that is crowded in the morning can be deserted in the evening, the sudden quiet making subtle occurrences more noticeable. Lights from nearby streets and buildings create sharp contrasts and shadows, perfect for fleeting glimpses of shapes and figures that cannot be explained. Even when surrounded by other visitors, some report sensing presences near them, subtle and persistent. Objects may shift slightly, shadows may appear in places that do not align with light, and sounds that seem familiar fade just as they are about to be identified. These small, inexplicable experiences build the park's reputation as a place where the past and the present coexist in quiet, mysterious ways. Grant Park is a space of contrasts, blending open, sunlit areas with shaded paths, lively sections with secluded corners. This interplay seems to allow the unexplained to emerge, whether as shadows, whispers, or subtle movements. Every corner of the park holds potential for a fleeting encounter, a reminder that history lingers, often unnoticed, yet ever present. Visitors leave the park with more than memories of its beauty and landmarks. They carry impressions of moments that cannot be fully explained. Of sensations that suggest the presence of others, unseen but felt. Figures glimpsed near fountains. Whispers along empty pathways. And footsteps on deserted trails all point to a deeper layer of experience, one where the park becomes a shared space between the living and the echoes of those who came before. In Grant Park, Chicago, Illinois, every visit holds the possibility of the extraordinary. It is a place where history, memory, and mystery converge. And where those who wander its paths may catch fleeting glimpses of what lies beyond ordinary perception. The park invites exploration not only of its physical spaces, but also of the unseen dimensions that quietly inhabit its grounds. Offering experiences that linger long after leaving its paths and benches behind. Balboa Island Park in Newport Beach, California, is a quaint, picturesque area known for its waterfront views and family-friendly charm. During the day, it is alive with the sounds of laughter, seagulls, and gentle waves lapping against the docks. Yet as the sun dips below the horizon and the island grows quiet, the park takes on a different character, one that has intrigued and unsettled visitors for decades. Those who explore the park after dark often speak of ghostly children seen near benches or along winding paths. They appear briefly, playing among the trees or running across open lawns, only to vanish when approached. These apparitions seem to carry the energy of past generations, echoing moments of joy that have lingered long after their time. Visitors also report figures in period clothing wandering the park. These silhouettes, often faint and fleeting, evoke a sense of history, as if the island itself preserves the lives and stories of those who walked its paths long ago. Some are seen near the water's edge, standing silently as if watching over the park, while others appear along secluded pathways, disappearing into the shadows without a trace. The presence of cold spots is common throughout the park, sudden drops in temperature that chill the air even on warm evenings. These fleeting sensations often accompany the appearance of apparitions, adding to the otherworldly atmosphere. Footsteps echo across empty walkways, and subtle noisesa whispers, laughter, or the faint clinking of objects seem to come from no visible source. Each encounter leaves visitors with a sense of awe and unease, a reminder that the park is more than it appears. Balboa Island Park's charm is intertwined with its history. Over the years, the island has seen countless families enjoying picnics, children playing near the docks. And local events that brought the community together. It is in this accumulation of memories that the paranormal activity finds its foundation. The park holds echoes of the past, replaying small fragments of life that refuse to fade completely. The fog rolling in from Newport Harbor often enhances the park's mysterious ambience. Shadows stretch across lawns and benches. And the soft glow of street lamps casts shapes that seem alive. Visitors navigating the winding paths feel the sense of being watched, yet no one is there. The combination of visual cues and the unseen presence creates an immersive experience, heightening every sound, every movement, and every flicker of light. Ghostly children have been seen near playgrounds and open spaces. Their laughter faint but distinct. They move with a liveliness that contrasts the stillness of the park at night. Figures in period attire are more solemn, often standing or walking slowly, as if retracing steps from another era. These glimpses, brief and intermittent, suggest a layer of history still present in the physical space of the park, blending past and present into a single, haunting tableau. Visitors sometimes feel a tug toward specific areas, drawn by intuition or curiosity. In these moments, the ordinary sounds of the island fade, replaced by soft, unidentifiable noises carried by the wind. A creaking bench, a distant splash from the harbor, or a rustle among the trees can feel charged with meaning, as if the environment itself participates in the narrative unfolding around them. Balboa Island Park is not violent or threatening, but it maintains a subtle intensity. That commands attention. The whispers, fleeting shadows, and sudden chills serve as reminders that the park carries stories beyond what the eye can see. Each unexplained sound or movement adds to a collective experience that has intrigued and unsettled visitors for generations. The park's waterfront areas are particularly notable for strange occurrences. Figures are occasionally seen near the docks, standing silently as if waiting. Lights reflecting off the water can appear and disappear without cause, creating illusions that challenge perception. These phenomena, combined with the fog and the park's natural beauty, create an atmosphere that is both enchanting and eerie, a space where the living and the unseen coexist. Exploring the park after dark encourages a heightened awareness of surroundings. The familiar paths, benches, and trees take on new significance under the dim glow of street lamps. Every shadow, every rustle in the foliage, and every flicker of light becomes part of a larger narrative. One that hints at the lives and moments that have left an indelible mark on the island. As the night progresses, the apparitions, sounds, and cold spots often recede, leaving the park quiet and seemingly ordinary once more. Yet those who have witnessed its nocturnal mysteries carry the memory of the experience. A sense that Balboa Island Park is more than a recreational space. It is a living repository of moments and memories. A place where the fabric of reality is thin, and the veil between worlds is at its most tenuous. Balboa Island Park offers a unique encounter with the unseen. A reminder that even the most serene and charming locations can harbor stories that transcend time. The ghostly children, figures in period clothing, sudden chills, and unexplained sounds create an immersive and cinematic experience for anyone willing to walk its paths after dark. The park remains a space where past and present coexist, quietly observing all who enter, leaving behind an enduring sense of wonder and mystery. Audubon Park in New Orleans stretches across lush green lawns, winding paths and towering live oaks draped with Spanish moss, where families, joggers, and birdwatchers gather. But as night falls, a different presence begins to make itself known. The atmosphere shifts subtly, the familiar paths taking on an air of quiet mystery, where the past seems to linger just beyond the reach of sight. Visitors who wander the park after dark sometimes report seeing ghostly children near old playground equipment. Swings sway gently, as if pushed by unseen hands, and slides glimmer faintly in the dim light. Shadows move unpredictably among the trees, forming shapes that vanish when approached. The presence of these apparitions is never threatening. Yet they create an undeniable sense of the park as a place where memory and reality intertwine. Among the dense foliage and ancient trees, figures are said to appear and disappear, moving silently among the twisted branches and fallen leaves. These glimpses are accompanied by the faintest sounds. Whispers of laughter carried on the breeze, and footsteps that echo softly along empty pathways, leaving only a lingering sense of observation, as if the park itself remembers those who once roamed its grounds. The open lawns and walking trails of Audubon Park enhance the sense of isolation at night. Each step on the cobblestone or dirt path seems to resonate more deeply, and every rustle in the undergrowth draws attention to the unseen. Even the gentle sway of hanging moss can appear deliberate, contributing to the perception that something intangible observes from the shadows. Some visitors have reported hearing faint, eerie music drifting through the park after dark. It is soft and almost imperceptible, resembling notes from a distant piano or the faint strains of a melody carried from another time. The sound seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, weaving through the trees and along the pathways. This music amplifies the park's mysterious ambience, creating a haunting soundtrack to the quiet apparitions and shifting shadows. The old playgrounds, with their weathered equipment and silent swings, are particularly evocative. Figures of children appear, sometimes running or playing, only to vanish before they can be approached. Their presence is accompanied by soft giggles, ephemeral and fleeting, blending seamlessly with the natural sounds of the night. The combination of visual and auditory phenomena evokes a sense of the past coexisting with the present, a reminder of the generations who once spent time in this urban sanctuary. Water features within the park, including ponds and small canals, add to the nocturnal atmosphere. The reflective surfaces capture moonlight, creating shifting patterns that seem to ripple with hidden movement. Occasionally, ripples appear without wind or visible disturbance. And the faint reflection of a figure may be glimpsed where none should exist. These subtle occurrences deepen the sense that the park is alive with echoes of history, silently sharing its stories with those willing to notice. Paths lined with ancient oaks and winding trails lead visitors through quiet areas where shadows dominate. Figures are reported to emerge briefly from the darkness, moving silently among the trees before disappearing into the night. Cold spots accompany these sightings, leaving visitors with a heightened awareness of the unseen. The interplay of light and shadow, movement and stillness, creates an immersive experience, allowing a sense of connection with the park's hidden history. The nocturnal sounds of Audubon Park are equally compelling. The distant rustle of leaves, faint whispers, and soft footsteps create a layered auditory landscape. Every creak of a swing or gentle thump of a branch falling adds to the perception of life beyond the ordinary. The presence of ghostly children and fleeting figures is subtle yet persistent, leaving an impression that the park holds secrets and stories that remain quietly active after dark. When walking the park at night, every corner and pathway, the ghostly children, shifting shadows, and faint music, lingering in the spaces we walk through and hear long after the day has ended. As night wanes and dawn approaches, Audubon Park slowly returns to its familiar daytime rhythm. Shadows retreat. Laughter fades. And the faint strains of music disappear. Yet those who have explored the park in the quiet hours carry with them the impression of a place where memory and presence coexist. A park alive with unseen life and quiet echoes of those who have passed through. Walking Audubon Park at night is an experience that blends history, mystery, and subtle haunting into a single immersive journey. Ghostly children, vanishing figures, and eerie music transform the familiar landscape into a space of quiet wonder. The park becomes more than a collection of trees, paths, and ponds. It becomes a living archive, holding the delicate traces of the past. For anyone who chooses to witness its hidden stories. Riverside Park stretches along the western edge of Manhattan, a haven of green amidst the city's ceaseless motion. By day, joggers pace along the riverfront, children laugh on playgrounds, and the hum of city life blends with the soft rustle of leaves. Yet, when the sun dips below the skyline and shadows lengthen across the lawns, the park transforms. Some visitors report the sensation of being watched as they walk the winding trails. Figures, often fleeting and shadowy, are seen along pathways that appear empty moments before. They move with an almost imperceptible rhythm, disappearing when approached yet leaving an unsettling impression that someone or something has just passed by. The air grows cooler near these spots. And the faintest whisper of movement follows along the edge of awareness, suggesting lives that once moved through the park still linger in subtle ways. Playgrounds, usually full of cheerful noise, carry a different energy after dark. Swings sometimes shift slowly as if a child were playing alone. And the faint echo of laughter drifts across the empty sand. Visitors have described the feeling of hands brushing against their shoulders. Gentle yet insistent, leaving a chill in the spine. It is as if the park itself is alive with memories, reaching out to those who dare to explore its quieter corners. Along the riverfront, benches stand like silent sentinels. In these areas, ghostly figures are often glimpsed, seated as if watching the water, or walking along the edge before vanishing into the night. These figures are often subtle in appearance, fleeting shadows or mist-like presences that vanish before they can be clearly examined. Yet their impact lingers long after they are gone. Riverside Park is filled with historic markers and statues, each carrying a sense of the past. Some visitors claim that shadows gather near these monuments, forming human shapes that seem to pay silent tribute to events long forgotten. The presence of history is tangible here, and it mingles with the restless energy of the park, blending human memory with something more mysterious and persistent. The feeling is both melancholic and compelling, drawing the curious closer while warning the timid to keep their distance. Walking beneath the tall trees lining the park's avenues, the interplay of light and shadow creates a shifting canvas. Figures appear at the edge of vision, sometimes partially obscured by branches or benches, then dissolve into the darkness. Footsteps echo where none should be heard, and leaves rustle in places untouched by wind. Many describe a subtle pressure in the air, a sense that the park itself is aware of their presence, observing them as much as they observe it. Bridges crossing the park reveal another layer of its haunted atmosphere. Shadows move across the undersides and along the walkways, forming shapes that suggest fleeting human forms. Occasionally, visitors report sudden cold drafts, despite calm summer nights, and the sound of faint voices or murmurs that seem carried on the river breeze. These experiences are not violent or threatening, yet they evoke a sense of awe and unease, leaving witnesses aware of something far older and more persistent than themselves. Throughout the park, the stories of past accidents and untimely deaths create an undercurrent of presence. The spirits of those lost may linger, tied to specific spots where tragedy struck. Visitors have described figures along paths, glimpsed in mirrors of puddles or reflected in the glimmering lights of the city skyline. Even in the bustling daylight, there is a sense that history leaves imprints that cannot be fully erased, that the park remembers what the city often forgets. Riverside Park offers an immersive experience for those attuned to its energy. Every bench, pathway, and open field holds the potential for encountering something beyond the ordinary. The park is both a space of beauty and a repository of memory, a place where past and present intertwine, where fleeting glimpses of what was can brush against the lives of the living. The stories of apparitions, footsteps, and subtle touches combine to create a hauntingly memorable atmosphere, drawing in those who seek to feel the pulse of history and mystery alike. Exploring Riverside Park at night is to step into a world where the familiar becomes uncanny. Shadows shift, sounds echo, and the park communicates its stories in quiet, almost imperceptible ways. Those who linger often leave with a heightened awareness of their surroundings and a lasting impression that the park is more than just trees and paths. It is alive with memory, and some of its echoes are still walking among the living, waiting for those willing to notice them. Lafayette Park in St. Louis, Missouri is a historic expanse of greenery nestled within the city, known for its walking paths, gardens, and open spaces that have witnessed generations of visitors. By day, it is filled with families, joggers, and tourists enjoying the sun and scenery. Yet as evening falls and the light softens, the park transforms into a place where history and mystery converge, a space where the ordinary can become quietly extraordinary. Along the walking paths, figures in old uniforms have been seen moving with deliberate steps. Their appearances are fleeting, often noticed out of the corner of the eye, yet when approached, they vanish into the trees or along the edges of the park. These figures are said to reflect the park's deep history, the echoes of those who once walked these grounds in different times, carrying with them the weight of past lives and stories now almost forgotten. Playgrounds and open spaces, vibrant during daylight hours, take on a different energy at dusk. Shadowy children have been observed playing among the swings and slides. Their movements quick and erratic, disappearing before they can be fully seen. Some visitors have felt a presence brushing past them. Light and fleeting, as if the park itself is alive with memories that refuse to remain silent. These small encounters leave a lingering sense that the park is more than just a space for leisure. The history of Lafayette Park adds layers to these experiences. Established in the 19th century, it has been a witness to social change, military presence, and countless personal stories. Generations of residents have passed through, leaving behind traces not only in the physical landscape but in the unseen energies that some believe remain. The park's monuments, statues, and pathways all hold fragments of these past moments, and it is here that many of the unexplained phenomena emerge. The park's monuments, statues, and pathways all hold fragments of these past moments, and it is here that many of the unexplained phenomena emerge. The park's monuments, statues, and pathways all hold fragments of these past moments, and it is here that many of the unexplained phenomena emerge. It is here that many of the unexplained phenomena emerge. The park's monuments, statues, and pathways all hold fragments of these past moments, and it is here that many of the unexplained phenomena emerge. Benches and secluded areas often serve as focal points for sightings. Figures have been seen sitting or standing near these spots, their outlines subtle and indistinct, appearing almost as part of the shadows themselves. Reflections in fountains or puddles sometimes reveal movements that do not align with any living presence. Visitors describe these moments as simultaneously unsettling and mesmerizing. A reminder that the park holds dimensions beyond the immediately visible. Even in open lawns and sunlit areas, subtle anomalies occur. Footsteps echo where none should exist, faint laughter drifts across empty playgrounds. And sudden chills move through spaces otherwise warmed by the afternoon sun. The contrast between light and shadow amplifies these sensations, making ordinary elements like a pathway or a garden bench appear as part of a larger, mysterious tapestry. Walking through Lafayette Park in the evening, the atmosphere changes further. Long shadows stretch across paths, and trees sway with a whispering motion. Figures can be glimpsed among the foliage, their presence acknowledged by a quick movement. These fleeting encounters suggest that the park is inhabited not only by those present in the moment but also by echoes of its layered past. Certain areas are particularly noted for heightened activity. Near monuments or statues, unexplained movements are more frequently reported. Children's laughter and footsteps can be heard in empty spaces, while figures in historic attire seem to linger near old pathways, their forms appearing and dissolving as though caught between worlds. These experiences are often subtle but leave a lasting impression on those who witness them. Sounds play a significant role in the atmosphere of Lafayette Park. Whispers drift along pathways, footsteps echo on lawns, and distant voices seem to respond to the movements of visitors. These auditory cues, combined with visual phenomena, create an immersive sense that the park is aware of those who enter it, observing quietly, offering glimpses of something beyond the everyday. The interplay between history, memory, and the present is what gives Lafayette Park its unique character. Every path, garden, and playground carries the potential for a fleeting encounter, a moment where the living and the echoes of the past brush against each other. Visitors often leave with more than memories of the park's beauty, they carry impressions of presence, movement, and the feeling that they shared the space with entities unseen yet deeply felt. As night deepens, the park becomes a space of quiet reflection and heightened awareness. Shadows lengthen, the air grows cooler, and even the familiar seems transformed. Figures may continue to appear along the edges of perception, lingering just long enough to be noticed and then fading, leaving only a sense of wonder and curiosity. leaving only a sense of wonder and curiosity. The experience of Lafayette Park is not always easily explained, yet it resonates, offering visitors a chance to step into a realm where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist seamlessly. Yet it resonates, offering visitors a chance to step into a realm where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist seamlessly. Offering visitors a chance to step into a realm where the ordinary and the mysterious coexist seamlessly. Lafayette Park in St. Louis, Missouri remains a place where history breathes quietly through its paths and spaces. The glimpses of figures in old uniforms, the fleeting appearances of children at play, the whispers along empty walkways all contribute to an atmosphere of mystery and presence. Those who wander its grounds are invited not only to witness its physical beauty but to experience the unseen layers that linger, shaping an unforgettable and cinematic encounter that continues long after the park has been left behind. Forest Hills Playground in Boston, Massachusetts, sits nestled among old oak trees and winding pathways. A familiar place by day, alive with the laughter of children and the gentle rustle of leaves. Yet as evening falls and the park empties, the atmosphere shifts. The swings sway without wind, slides creak in the still air. And faint laughter echoes across empty spaces. As if the playground itself holds memories of those who once played there. Visitors exploring the playground after dark often speak of ghostly presences. Shadows dart between trees, glimpses of figures fleeting and indistinct. The sounds are subtle yet unmistakable: soft footsteps on gravel paths, the quiet squeak of a swing, a laugh that fades into silence. Each encounter feels alive, as though the park remembers moments long past and continues to replay them in the quiet of night. The swings seem particularly alive, moving rhythmically even when no one is near. Some believe this is the energy of children who once ran freely through the playground, their joy lingering in the air like a whisper. The slides sometimes creak as if someone is sliding down, though the structures are empty. These subtle movements, combined with the sounds, create a sense of being watched and accompanied by unseen visitors. The park's history adds depth to these experiences. For generations, Forest Hills Playground has been a hub of activity. A place where families gathered and children discovered the world around them. Over time, these moments of happiness, play, and discovery may have left echoes in the environment, subtle imprints that manifest to those willing to notice the unexplainable. Exploring the paths at night encourages a heightened awareness. Every shadow among the trees, every rustle in the bushes, and every flicker of movement becomes charged with significance. Lights from distant street lamps cast elongated shapes that dance across the ground, creating illusions that blur the line between reality and imagination. In this liminal space, the familiar becomes mysterious. Ghostly laughter is perhaps the most unsettling phenomenon. It drifts across the playground in waves, soft and ephemeral, never forming words but carrying the unmistakable tone of joy. Some visitors feel compelled to follow the sound, only to find an empty swing set or an empty sandbox. The experience leaves a lingering sense that the park is alive with memory, replaying fragments of the past for those who listen. Other visitors report seeing figures among the trees, fleeting glimpses of children running or playing. These shapes often appear at the edge of vision, vanishing when directly observed. The experience is disorienting, a blend of beauty and unease, as if the playground exists simultaneously in the present and in echoes of days gone by. The playground is not menacing, but it carries an energy that is undeniably palpable. Cold spots drift across pathways and around benches, sometimes accompanied by the faint smell of grass or soil, grounding the experience in both the natural and the supernatural. The combination of subtle movement, sounds, and temperature shifts creates an immersive atmosphere that captivates the senses and heightens curiosity. At night, the empty slides and swings seem to tell stories. The swing in motion. Laughter lingering like a melody. Footsteps on gravel. A stage where the energy of the past continues to interact with the present. An environment where the energy of the past continues to interact with the present. It is a repository of memories, an environment. An environment where the energy of the past continues to interact with the present. It is a repository of memories, an environment. Walking through the park in darkness encourages reflection. Visitors notice details overlooked during the day. The way branches sway with unseen influence. The rhythm of faint creaks. The subtle play of shadows on the ground. These moments invite a sense of wonder and speculation. A feeling that the ordinary world is intertwined with layers of history and memory unseen by most. The echoes of children and faint movements challenge perception and imagination. They remind those who wander through the playground that spaces carry more than their physical presence. Forest Hill's playground becomes a meeting point of past and present, a place where the unseen leaves its mark, quietly observing every visitor who dares to explore after dark. In Forest Hill's playground, the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. The movements, sounds, and apparitions create an atmosphere of mystery and fascination. Visitors leave with a heightened awareness, a sense that they have glimpsed a hidden layer of the world. One where memories of joy and play continue to linger, softly and silently, in the shadows and along the empty pathways. The playground stands as a testament to the lingering presence of the past. Every swing that moves, every slide that creaks, and every whisper of laughter is part of a continuous story. It is an immersive experience where history, memory, and the unknown converge. Leaving a lasting impression on all who enter, a reminder that even the most familiar places can hold secrets waiting to be discovered. Audubon Park in New Orleans stretches across lush green lawns, winding paths, and towering live oaks draped with Spanish moss. By day, the park is a vibrant sanctuary where families, joggers, and birdwatchers gather. But as night falls, a different presence begins to make itself known. The atmosphere shifts subtly, the familiar paths taking on an air of quiet mystery. Where the past seems to linger just beyond the reach of sight. Visitors who wander the park after dark sometimes report seeing ghostly children near old playground equipment. Swings sway gently, as if pushed by unseen hands. And slides glimmer faintly in the dim light. Shadows move unpredictably among the trees, forming shapes that vanish when approached. The presence of these apparitions is never threatening, yet they create an undeniable sense of the park as a place where memory and reality intertwine. Among the dense foliage and ancient trees, figures are said to appear and disappear, moving silently among the twisted branches and fallen leaves. These glimpses are accompanied by the faintest sounds. Whispers of laughter carried on the breeze. And footsteps that echo softly along empty pathways. The open lawns and walking trails of Audubon Park enhance the sense of isolation at night. Each step on the cobblestone or dirt path seems to resonate more deeply. And every rustle in the undergrowth draws attention to the unseen. Even the gentle sway of hanging moss can appear deliberate, contributing to the perception that something intangible observes from the shadows. Some visitors have reported hearing faint, eerie music drifting through the park after dark. It is soft and almost imperceptible, resembling notes from a distant piano or the faint strains of a melody carried from another time. The sound seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once, weaving through the trees and along the pathways. This music amplifies the park's mysterious ambience, creating a haunting soundtrack to the quiet apparitions and shifting shadows. The old playgrounds, with their weathered equipment and silent swings, are particularly evocative. Figures of children appear, sometimes running or playing, only to vanish before they can be approached. Their presence is accompanied by soft giggles, ephemeral and fleeting, blending seamlessly with the natural sounds of the night. The combination of visual and auditory phenomena evokes a sense of the past coexisting with the present. A reminder of the generations who once spent time in this urban sanctuary. Water features within the park, including ponds and small canals, add to the nocturnal atmosphere. Occasionally, ripples appear without wind or visible disturbance, and the faint reflection of a figure may be glimpsed where none should exist. These subtle occurrences deepen the sense that the park is alive with echoes of history, silently sharing its stories with those willing to notice. Paths lined with ancient oaks and winding trails lead visitors through quiet areas where shadows dominate. Figures are reported to emerge briefly from the darkness, moving silently among the trees before disappearing into the night. Cold spots accompany these sightings, leaving visitors with a heightened awareness of the unseen. The interplay of light and shadow, movement and stillness, creates an immersive experience, allowing a sense of connection with the park's hidden history. The nocturnal sounds of Audubon Park are equally compelling. The distant rustle of leaves, faint whispers, and soft footsteps create a layered auditory landscape. Every creak of a swing or gentle thump of a branch falling adds to the perception of life beyond the ordinary. The presence of ghostly children and fleeting figures is subtle yet persistent, leaving an impression that the park holds secrets and stories that remain quietly active after dark. Visitors often describe a heightened sense of awareness when walking the park at night. Every corner and pathway becomes part of a larger narrative, one that intertwines history, memory, and subtle supernatural suggestion. The ghostly children, shifting shadows, and faint music serve as gentle reminders that the past is never truly gone, lingering in the spaces we walk through and hear long after the day has ended. As night wanes and dawn approaches, shadows retreat. Laughter fades. And the faint strains of music disappear. Yet those who have explored the park in the quiet hours carry with them the impression of a place where memory and presence coexist. A park alive with unseen life and quiet echoes of those who have passed through. Walking Audubon Park at night is an experience that blends history, mystery, and subtle haunting into a single immersive journey. Ghostly children, vanishing figures, and eerie music transform the familiar landscape into a space of quiet wonder. The park becomes more than a collection of trees, paths, and ponds, it becomes a living archive, holding the delicate traces of the past for anyone who chooses to witness its hidden stories. Audubon Park in New Orleans stretches across sprawling lawns, winding pathways, and groves of ancient oak trees draped in Spanish moss. By day, the park is alive with families, joggers, and birdwatchers. Yet as dusk falls, shadows lengthen. The park's familiar paths take on a mysterious, almost otherworldly quality, hinting at histories that linger just beyond the reach of sight. Visitors who explore the park at night often report sightings of ghostly children near old playground equipment. Swings sway gently as if moved by invisible hands. And slides glimmer faintly under the dim light of street lamps. Figures appear briefly among the trees, running, playing, or pausing to look toward those who watch. The children vanish when approached, leaving only a lingering sense of observation and quiet wonder. As if the park itself preserves fragments of lives once lived within its boundaries. Among the dense groves of trees, fleeting figures have been seen walking silently along pathways, disappearing into shadows before they can be fully seen. The sound of soft laughter sometimes drifts through the night air, delicate and fleeting, blending with the rustle of leaves and the distant call of nocturnal birds. These auditory and visual phenomena combine to create a sensation that the park is alive in subtle ways after dark, its history brushing against the present. The sprawling lawns and winding trails of Audubon Park contribute to an immersive experience for nighttime visitors. Each step on a cobblestone or dirt path seems amplified. And every small noise draws attention to the presence of the unseen. Cold drafts move unpredictably through the park, brushing against the skin and heightening the sense that one is being quietly observed. Even the gentle sway of Spanish moss overhead can seem deliberate, as if nature itself is participating in the subtle activity of the night. The playgrounds, with their aged swings and empty slides, hold a particular fascination. Apparitions of children appear to play silently, sometimes running or pausing to glance toward those who watch. The faint sound of laughter often accompanies these sightings, soft and ephemeral, echoing through the empty playgrounds, and blending seamlessly with the natural nocturnal sounds of the park. These moments feel both innocent and uncanny, revealing how the past and present can coexist in a single space. Water features scattered throughout the park, including ponds and canals, enhance the nocturnal atmosphere. Reflections of the moon ripple across the surface, and subtle movements in the water sometimes appear without wind or visible disturbance. On rare occasions, figures are glimpsed in reflections where no one stands, reinforcing the impression that the park retains the presence of those who once walked its paths. These quiet moments of reflection deepen the sense of mystery and historical continuity that permeates the area. Pathways lined with ancient trees create a natural corridor of shadows and light. Figures are occasionally seen moving silently among the trunks and branches, vanishing before they can be approached. Cold spots accompany these sightings, leaving an eerie sense of otherworldly awareness. The combination of dim light, shifting shadows, and faint sounds crafts an immersive experience that blurs the line between what is visible and what is imagined. Audubon Park's auditory landscape at night is as compelling as its visual phenomena. Faint whispers, distant footsteps, and the occasional giggle create a layered soundscape that draws attention to unseen presences. The interplay of these sounds with the subtle movements of figures and shadows evokes a feeling that the park is alive with memories and echoes, quietly sharing its hidden stories with those willing to listen. Those who venture through the park after dark often describe a heightened sense of connection to its history. Every path, bench, and grove seems to tell a story, revealing subtle traces of the past. In the form of ghostly children, shifting shadows, and faint, haunting music. The experience invites reflection, offering glimpses into moments and lives that persist quietly alongside the modern park. As night gives way to dawn, Audubon Park gradually returns to its daytime rhythm. Shadows retreat, laughter fades, and the faint music disappears. Yet visitors who have walked its paths in the quiet hours carry a lasting impression of a place where history and memory linger, where unseen presences remind all who enter that some stories remain alive long after their tellers have gone. Walking Audubon Park at night is an experience that melds mystery, history, and subtle supernatural presence. The ghostly children, vanishing figures, and delicate music transform the familiar landscape into a space that feels both timeless and alive. The park becomes more than lawns, trees, and pathways. It becomes a living archive of memories, quietly inviting observation and contemplation for anyone willing to witness its hidden stories. Fairview Park stretches across the western edge of Cleveland, a place of quiet paths, sprawling lawns, and clusters of old trees that whisper with the wind. By day, it is a refuge from the bustle of the city, a space where joggers pass beneath leafy canopies and families gather near playgrounds and picnic areas. Yet when twilight falls and the sun dips behind the horizon, the familiar landscape transforms. Shadows deepen beneath the trees, the air grows still, and a sense of something unseen begins to stir. Visitors have reported fleeting figures among the trees, often children playing in the distance. Their laughter can be heard faintly, light and joyful, yet there is a hollow quality to it. A resonance that suggests they are not entirely of this world. Those who attempt to approach these figures often find them vanished, leaving only the whisper of leaves rustling in their wake. Some describe seeing shadowy forms lingering near the park benches or along the pathways, watching silently before dissolving into the darkness. The park carries the weight of its history. Tragic events in decades past seem to have left impressions upon the land, echoes of moments that cannot be forgotten. Visitors report sudden cold spots that move unpredictably across the grounds, as if the presence of something unseen is tracing their path. Footsteps are heard where none should be, light and rapid at times, slow and deliberate at others. These sounds often appear in the quietest sections of the park, places where the city's hum fades into the night. Playgrounds take on a different energy after dark. Swings sway slowly with no wind. And seesaws tilt as though moved by invisible hands. The laughter of children grows louder in certain corners, only to disappear abruptly when one attempts to follow it. Figures can sometimes be glimpsed between trees, their forms ethereal and fleeting, as if caught between worlds. Many describe the feeling of being watched. A presence close yet never directly seen, lingering just at the edge of perception. Near the old walking trails, shadowy figures appear and vanish with surprising speed. Their movements are almost human, carrying a rhythm that suggests familiarity with the park's terrain. Occasionally, witnesses report a sudden sensation of being brushed by something intangible, a cold hand grazing an arm or shoulder. The encounters are subtle, never violent, yet they leave a lasting impression, a reminder that the park is alive with more than natural life. The park's old trees play a significant role in these experiences. Their twisted branches create patterns of shadow and light that can deceive the eye, yet some forms are too deliberate to be explained by foliage alone. Figures have been seen standing beneath arching limbs, motionless and silent, their presence confirmed by the chill in the air and the soft rustle of leaves as if responding to their arrival. The park seems to hold its breath, every sound amplified, every shadow a potential harbinger of what might be lurking just out of reach. Benches and open lawns are also focal points for sightings. Visitors have reported silhouettes sitting quietly, disappearing when approached, leaving only an empty seat and a lingering sense of companionship. The feeling of history is palpable in these spaces, the echoes of past lives and untold stories pressing gently against the present. Even on warm summer nights, a cold draft can sweep across these areas, carrying with it the faintest whisper of voices and footsteps. Fairview Park also presents moments of eerie beauty. The combination of old architecture, winding trails, and open spaces creates a cinematic backdrop for the unexplained. Light reflecting off puddles or the surface of small ponds sometimes reveals shapes that are not there in daylight. Shadows stretch unnaturally, forming figures that vanish as one blinks. The interplay between natural elements and ghostly presence blurs the line between reality and the unknown, creating an atmosphere that is both inviting and unsettling. For those willing to explore, the park offers an immersive experience. Every path, every tree, every quiet corner holds potential encounters, subtle or striking, that speak to the history embedded within the land. The presence of shadowy children, the movement of invisible footsteps, and the sensation of being followed create a layered experience, where memory and mystery coexist. Visitors often leave with a heightened sense of awareness, their imaginations intertwined with the lingering energy of the park, reminded that some places hold stories far beyond what can be seen. At night, Fairview Park becomes a realm where past and present meet. The shadows among the trees, the laughter of unseen children, and the sudden cold spots all point to a world just beyond ordinary perception. The park is alive with echoes of its past, and those who walk its trails may feel a connection to moments that remain unresolved, spirits lingering in the quiet spaces, waiting to be noticed. It is a place where history is not forgotten, where the land itself remembers, and where visitors are given a glimpse into the unseen lives that continue to inhabit the park long after the sun has set. Mount Royal Park in Montreal is a sprawling urban oasis, a place where city life seems to pause amid trees, trails, and open spaces. By day, it is filled with joggers, families, and tourists, all enjoying the greenery and panoramic views of the city. Yet as twilight settles and shadows lengthen, the park transforms into a space where history and mystery seem to intertwine. A place where the ordinary becomes quietly extraordinary. Visitors have long reported sightings of figures that do not belong to the modern day. Shadowy adults appear along winding trails, often lingering near benches as if lost in thought or waiting for someone who will never arrive. Children are also seen, playing or wandering near paths, their laughter faint and distant, echoing through areas where no one else is present. These apparitions suggest that the park holds memories that reach beyond the present, whispering of times and lives long past. Walking along the trails after dark, the atmosphere shifts. A chill runs through the air, and the normal sounds of the city fade, replaced by the whisper of leaves and the distant call of an owl. Many visitors report the sensation of being followed, a quiet presence moving just out of sight. It is a subtle, almost imperceptible feeling, yet it lingers, leaving the impression that the park is aware of every step and every pause. Benches scattered throughout the park serve as silent witnesses to these encounters. Figures have been observed sitting, standing, or passing by as if drawn to these spots for reasons unknown. Occasionally, a visitor will catch a glimpse of movement in the corner of their eye, turning to find only empty space. These moments are unsettling, but they also contribute to the park's unique character, a blend of natural beauty and lingering mystery. The history of Mount Royal Park adds layers to these experiences. Designed in the 19th century, it has served as a refuge, a meeting place, and a location for countless personal stories. The park has been witness to generations of city dwellers, their joys, sorrows, and everyday lives, leaving traces in the spaces they occupied. Some believe that the apparitions are echoes of these past moments, the imprints of lives that have not fully moved on. Trails lined with towering trees and dense foliage often feel alive in the evening. Shadows stretch across pathways, merging with the darkness of the forested areas. Figures can be glimpsed moving among the branches, sometimes appearing to watch from a distance before vanishing into the shadows. These encounters are subtle but persistent, leaving a lasting impression on those who experience them. Sounds play a significant role in the park's atmosphere. Footsteps that do not match the movements of living visitors, and the occasional laughter of unseen children, all combine to create a sense of heightened awareness. Even in open spaces, these auditory phenomena can startle and intrigue, adding depth to the visual impressions of shadowy figures and fleeting presences. The open lawns and lookout points of Mount Royal Park also have a reputation for unusual activity. Figures have been seen along the edges of the park, gazing out over the city. These moments often leave visitors with a sense of awe and unease, a reminder that the park is not only a place of natural beauty but also a repository of stories and memories that persist beyond the living world. Visitors who venture deeper into the wooded areas report that the sense of presence intensifies. Trails that seem familiar by day can become labyrinthine at night, with shadows and movements suggesting life where none should exist. Figures appear and vanish without warning, leaving only the echo of footsteps or the brief impression of a child peering from behind a tree. The feeling of being watched is ever present, subtle but undeniable. The park's history, combined with its natural features, creates a compelling environment for encounters that blend the visible and invisible. The whisper of the wind through the trees, the shifting shadows along trails, and the occasional glimpse of a figure all contribute to an immersive experience that engages the senses and the imagination. Each visit becomes a journey not only through physical space, but also through time, memory, and the unseen. Mount Royal Park is more than a city landmark. It is a living archive of human presence that serves as a reminder that the weight of countless stories that are told, especially as darkness falls, and also the beauty of Montreal, but also the lingering presence of its past that is a cemetery that holds the secret that reminds us that as night deepens, Mount Royal Park takes on a quieter, more reflective quality. The shadows lengthen, the air grows cooler, and the usual sounds of the city fade into silence. Figures continue to appear along the paths, sometimes close enough to see clearly, other times just beyond perception. The echoes of laughter, footsteps, and whispers remain, a testament to the unseen layers that coexist with the living. Visitors leave with impressions that linger, a sense that they have glimpsed a realm where history and presence converge in subtle, unforgettable ways. Mount Royal Park, though close to the border with the United States, stands as a unique and mysterious landmark in Montreal. Its trails, benches, and open spaces are alive with echoes of the past, inviting those who wander them to experience the intertwining of the present with the lingering spirits of history. Each visit offers a chance to step into a world where the natural and the supernatural coexist, creating an unforgettable encounter that continues long after leaving the park behind. A place that by day is alive with children's laughter, the squeak of swings, and the rhythmic sounds of playful footsteps. As night falls, however, the atmosphere transforms. Visitors exploring the playground after dark often describe eerie experiences. Swing sets move back and forth with no one in sight, a slow, rhythmic motion that seems deliberate. The slides creak in the silence, as if unseen hands are playing upon them. The gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze is sometimes accompanied by soft, ghostly laughter drifting across the empty grounds, carrying a tone both familiar and unsettling. Figures appear at the edges of the playground, barely discernible in the low light. They linger just beyond clear view, and when observed directly, they vanish instantly, leaving only the faint impression of movement in the shadows. Some say these figures resemble children, silhouettes of playful energy frozen in time, caught between the present and memories of the past. The park's history adds to its haunting reputation. Riverside Playground has existed for decades, a community space where generations of families have gathered. Over the years, moments of joy, excitement, and occasional misfortune have left an intangible mark on the location. These subtle energies may be what manifests during the quiet hours, when the world is still and the playground is empty. Cold spots drift across pathways, unexpected and fleeting. The sensation is more than a simple chill, as though the air itself carries a presence, brushing against skin and clothing. Shadows stretch and shift, cast by distant streetlights, creating fleeting images that vanish when approached. Every sound, every movement feels amplified, turning ordinary elements into instruments of mystery. The swings seem to respond to an unseen rhythm, moving with a purpose that defies logic. Some visitors describe the sensation of being watched, a gentle pressure at the edge of perception that fades when acknowledged. It is an atmosphere charged with anticipation, where the ordinary becomes tinged with the extraordinary, and every corner may conceal something beyond understanding. Soft whispers sometimes accompany the sights and movements. They are never words, only fragments of sound carried on the breeze, rising and falling as though children are speaking, playing, and disappearing all at once. The effect is immersive, pulling observers into a space where the boundary between the tangible and the spectral blurs. The slides and climbing structures seem alive in their own right. The creaks and groans echo unnaturally through the still night, hinting at presence and movement just out of sight. Observers report a mixture of fascination and apprehension, compelled to explore further yet instinctively cautious. The playground becomes a labyrinth of fleeting images and sounds, each detail magnified under the cover of darkness. Figures at the periphery are fleeting but unforgettable. One moment the space is empty, the next a small silhouette flickers across the playground, gone before it can be fully comprehended. These apparitions, like echoes of past play and energy, reinforce the sense that the park holds layers of history, both seen and unseen. Riverside Playground offers a paradoxical experience, where the innocence of a familiar place meets the suspense of the unknown. The laughter, the movement, and the whispers combine to create a sensory experience that is both enchanting and unsettling. Each step, each glance, feels heightened, as if the playground itself is aware of every visitor who wanders its paths after dark. Visitors often leave with lingering impressions of the playground's unseen inhabitants. The memory of swings in motion, the fleeting figures, and the soft laughter stays with them long after leaving. A reminder that even familiar spaces can harbor mysteries hidden from ordinary perception. The combination of light, shadow, sound, and movement creates an immersive narrative that plays out nightly in Riverside Playground. It is a space where the ordinary blends with the extraordinary, a place where memories, energy, and lingering presence converge to form a quiet but palpable haunting. The experience is never overtly threatening, but it is undeniably compelling. Cold drafts, shadows, and spectral laughter invite reflection on the nature of space and memory. The playground becomes a bridge between past and present, a living repository of unseen echoes, preserving the joy, curiosity, and energy of those who once played there. Riverside Playground remains a place of fascination for those willing to venture into its quiet hours. The movements, figures, and sounds coalesce into a hauntingly beautiful environment, where every swing and slide carries the subtle weight of history and memory. Observers are left with the sense that even the most familiar places hold secrets waiting to be discovered in the dark. Along the empty paths, and within the gentle motion of the swings. Here, at Riverside Playground, the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the echoes of the past continue to play, unseen but profoundly felt, leaving an indelible impression on all who experience the haunting beauty of this Minneapolis landmark. Alamo Park in San Antonio stretches across green lawns, winding trails, and clusters of ancient oak trees. By day, the park is a lively gathering place where families, joggers, and tourists enjoy the warm Texas sun. But as dusk falls, the familiar spaces take on a more mysterious presence, where shadows lengthen and the air grows thick with quiet anticipation. Visitors who explore the park at night often report sudden chills that seem to come from nowhere. The temperature can drop unexpectedly along empty paths, and a feeling of being watched permeates the air. Shadowy figures appear near playgrounds and along trails, fleeting glimpses that vanish the moment they are approached. The presence of these apparitions is subtle yet undeniable, leaving an impression that the park holds secrets that are only revealed after dark. Among the trees and trails, ghostly figures are sometimes seen walking silently. Their movements calm and deliberate. They seem to pause near benches, playgrounds, or the edge of open lawns, before fading back into the darkness. Visitors have described faint whispers calling names, voices so soft that they could be imagined, yet persistent enough to create a sense of unease. These ethereal encounters suggest that Alamo Park is a place where the past lingers, gently brushing against the present. Where the past lingers, gently brushing against the present. The playgrounds, with their swings and slides, are often the focal points of sightings. Apparitions of children or figures in indistinct shapes are reported playing or standing quietly, only to disappear when approached. Swings sway as if pushed by invisible hands, and slides glint faintly under the dim glow of nearby lights. These encounters leave visitors with a sense of wonder and a reminder that the park preserves echoes of those who once walked its grounds. Walking along the park's winding trails at night heightens the feeling of immersion. Ancient oaks stretch their limbs across paths, creating natural corridors of shadow and light. Figures are sometimes glimpsed moving among the trunks, vanishing as quickly as they appear. Cold drafts accompany these sightings, leaving an otherworldly sensation that deepens with every step. The interplay of light, shadow, and sound transforms the familiar landscape into a space filled with quiet mystery. Alamo Park's atmosphere is also shaped by subtle sounds that accompany these apparitions. Faint whispers drift along empty paths. Distant footsteps echo across lawns. And the rustle of leaves seems to follow unseen movements. Even the creak of a swing or the shift of gravel underfoot can amplify the perception of another presence. The combination of auditory and visual phenomena creates a layered experience that engages both curiosity and caution. Some visitors have described a sensation of being guided or observed along the park's trails. Figures appear momentarily in peripheral vision, creating the impression that the park itself remembers and responds to those who enter its space. These fleeting glimpses, combined with the sudden chills and whispers, form an immersive narrative where the history of Alamo Park feels intertwined with the experiences of the living. Water features, including fountains and small ponds, add another layer of atmosphere. Reflections shimmer in the moonlight, and ripples sometimes appear without cause. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy shapes in reflections where no one stands, reinforcing the impression that the park holds memories of past visitors. These subtle disturbances enhance the sense that Alamo Park is more than a collection of trails and playgrounds, but a living archive of stories and presences that continue to linger. The nocturnal experience of Alamo Park is both haunting and captivating. Shadowy figures, sudden chills, and faint whispers combine to create a setting where history and memory are palpable. Every trail, bench, and playground holds the potential for unexpected encounters. And every step taken at night is filled with a heightened awareness of unseen life. The park becomes a space where the past coexists with the present, gently reminding visitors that some presences are never truly gone. As night gives way to dawn, Alamo Park gradually returns to its familiar daytime rhythm. Shadows retreat, chills dissipate, and whispers fade into silence. The fleeting apparitions, the subtle sounds, and the sudden temperature shifts leave an enduring mark. A reminder that Alamo Park holds more than just the stories of the living. Exploring Alamo Park at night is an experience of subtle discovery, where history, memory, and the supernatural converge. The sensation of being watched, and the delicate whispers combine to create an atmosphere both mysterious and immersive. The park transforms into a living storybook, preserving echoes of the past for those who choose to walk its shadowed paths and witness its hidden narratives. Parks and playgrounds are meant to be places of joy, but these haunted locations carry memories that refuse to fade. Every swing that moves, every shadow that flickers, and every faint laugh is a reminder of the past lingering in the present. Next time you walk through a park at dusk, remember these tales. Would you dare to explore a haunted playground alone at night, knowing that the spirits of children and figures long gone may be watching? Some parks offer more than fresh air and green spaces, they offer glimpses into mysteries that still haunt the living.